Oh, let's go. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Ooh, it's very soft. I'm gonna start that over for me. Yeah, I haven't seen Clannad. That's on my list. I gotta watch Clannad. Nice. Alright, before he goes on, because it looks like it builds a little. First off, I think, yeah, first, the visuals, incredible. Good work, dude. Was the C music? Like, either ways, good work. Second, I think I really like, right, oh, this is praise sandwich time? No, I'm kidding. I'll just give you my thoughts. I like how it's a very delicate touch, right, so far. Like the, I think the one criticism that I would have is that it feels like it's lacking a little bit of direction, right? So you see the two slurs here, right? Like, or the slur for all four measures. But really, I think you can think of this as having, and you probably did think of this, right? But it just didn't come out very clearly. Think of it as it being two phrases, right? Under one big phrase. So, da da bum 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 ba da dum. Right? Like you're playing to a certain note. So there's a little bit of a build. Right, like there's a little bit of a swell and then coming back down. And whereas for you played it very delicately, which was very nice, right? God, your voice. I wish. I sing so much when I practice these sorts of things because it helps me figure it out. I don't sing scales, that's why I can't tell notes. But I sing like different things when I'm working on voicing. But yeah, I think that's the first thing that sticks out to me. Right, hearing a little bit of a swell, a little bit of a build, so that it's not all like one dynamic. What an interesting concept to think about, I think, is dynamics as ranges, right? And as opposed to like a set like loudness. So pianissimo is not just quiet; it's a range that's down here, right? Everything within this is pianissimo. Piano is not just like a little bit louder than pianissimo; it's like everything that's here. Forte is not just loud, it's like this whole range here, right? And so how you're phrasing within a certain dynamic is how are you varying within that sort of loudness, essentially, within that sort of range. And that's something that I think you can start to play with a little bit, right? Since this sounds like it's very in control, right? Which is a good job on your part. But it's just a little bit flat overall. And I would say the same thing about the left hand, right? The left hand is coming in below the right, which is super important for something like this. Yeah, so it's coming in below. Yeah, and there we go. It's like almost another breath, right? But not exactly a breath because there's a slur. But yeah, so left hand, right? Both notes aren't of equal importance, IMO. The way that I see is scored here and the way that I think it's phrased. So the D flat and the C, D flat are more important, right, than the A flat, A flat, A flat, because the A flat's repeating. And so if I go back to yours, you were playing. Right, they're like about the same volume, I would like to hear the A flat a little bit below the D flat, right? And then the C and then the D flat, right? So the interesting notes stand on top. One of the things that I guess I think a lot about, and I talked about this on Tuesday as well when I was practicing Labus Lied. Right, is more than just 2 layers of voicing. I think a lot of people, like if you watch, I think even the Ishtar talk about Animen's stuff. Stop it, Tiff. I'm not showing you. I'm demonstrating. Oh my gosh, I'm just demonstrating. Please. But one of the things that I think a lot of people in our community can start to think about is beyond just I'm voicing the melody, right? The melody standing out on top. It's how do I voice everything else below the melody? You got the, like is on top, and then this is the layer right below, right? And then this A flat is the layer below that. Right, like that. Does that kind of make sense? Does that kind of make sense, double flat dude? And Gabriel Smith, yes, this is where all the cool kids are. I'm reviewing playing. So, yo, Gabe, you should send in your own playing. And maybe we'll talk about it at some point. Yeah, okay. Cool. Yeah, let's move on. Oh, other thing. Sorry, I don't mean to like tear apart like these beginning parts, because I don't mean to spend hours and hours on each measure. But this is why my Watson performance videos need to be made shorter, because I spend too much time explaining these things. Yeah. But here I think I would just say watch your pedal a little, right? It sounds like you come up a little bit too early, so you're losing the continuity between the D, C, and D flat, C, and the D flat, right, in the left hand. The way that it sounds, right, with the delicate touch, is that this is not a disconnected, right, playing. This is not I always forget. Tenutos are like held slightly longer, but like detached, right? Tenutos are portato. When do I think you should release the pedal? I think the release comes right after this B flat here, right? So, oh, shoot, you can't see my foot. So I'm going to demonstrate very slowly. So right here, right before I press the C and play the B, up and down, like real quick. So it's almost like my pedal is coming up as I'm going down onto the next note. Does it? Okay, there were no pedal marks, so yeah, okay. That makes sense. If you think that it should be detached and you're playing it intentionally detached, then that's fine. But to my ear, it sounds like it wants to be connected, right? And if Animens plays it the way that you played it, then go for it, right? Since he's the one who wrote it and he's the original composer, so he has like the ultra master, authority over interpretation. But since this is like an arrangement that I haven't heard him play, I don't know. So, but again, I would just say I would release like as I'm coming down on the next note. Yeah, we can check that out later. But yeah, so in general, right? To practice this, I would say just practice like playing the left hand. So since you've moved on from this, I would say the next thing that you work on, practice the left hand and try to make it so that you're connecting everything without having any of the chords that you're playing on top with the half notes get muddy or bleed over into the next. Right, and that'll help you train that up, because the quarter notes are pretty easy to keep detached that way. So yeah, lit. Yo, this is fun. This is fun. Yeah, I feel like I have to. I enjoy teaching stuff like this because it makes me think a little bit harder about the things that I do too. So. Gosh, just looking at these clips, I know Clyde is an anime that's gonna probably make me cry. There we go. Okay, that ending right there, I think. Yeah. There's like both bleed at points when you come down, but then there's also the disconnect, right? But anyways, this ending, I think I want you to interpret that. I want you to, like, I feel like I'm your teacher now. I want you to interpret that like with a bit of a decrescendo, right? Because the chord, right? Okay, obviously you know much more about chords than I do, but even without knowing what this chord is, it sounds ambiguous, right? It sounds like a question mark, and a question mark rarely gets like you don't ask a question like, "Hey, what's up?" right? Like all flat. You hey, what's up? Right? Like the tone and the emphasis gets lifted towards the end. So, right. So it's like question mark. What's coming next? And then, right, and then it carries on. So that's what I would say about that part, right there. It's a small transitional thing, but I think it adds to overall. But anyways, let's go on. Yeah, same comment about the pedal here. Yeah, so here, this last part, you were starting to lose some of the notes, right? And in the right hand, it was becoming a little bit freaking out in measure 32. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, call and response. Yeah, like the two hands. Oh yeah, I didn't even notice. Yeah, like the two hands with the separate rhythms here. But yeah, just make sure that okay. This isn't something that you don't know, right? Again, it's the self-taught. Yeah, dude, this is great, right? If you're self-taught and you're playing like this, then you're incredible. That's all I gotta say. Like, I kid you not, self-taught people in this community are what keep me going. You guys are the reason why I do these sorts of things, right? Because I know not everyone is privileged enough to have been able to take piano lessons with like someone who has toured before, or like privileged enough to go and perform and do like all these things, right? And like even all that aside, right? Being able to play for almost 20 years now, it gives you a certain edge of experience that someone who's self-taught, right? When you get the motivation that comes when you're like 12, 13, 14, right? Earliest. And that just doesn't compare to someone sometimes, right? Who's been playing since they were like 3 or 4, right? Granted, I wasn't playing at 3 or 4 because I wanted to, right? But I started playing at 3 or 4 because but I still was playing, right, and learning and developing skill. So all that to say, you guys are ballers, and I really hope that stuff like this can help you out a little bit. Okay, so one thing that I noticed here, right, the left, again, I want you to think about the bass notes on the downbeat. Yeah, lol, cause our parents. Yeah. Yeah, the pedal's super important, dude. I think I'm actually thinking about after I finish How to Practice Hard Stuff series, I think I'm gonna do like How to Pedal series, because that's something that a lot of people mess up, right? That a lot of people don't like fully understand how to use and to do stuff. Yeah, contrast from the left and right hand. But here, again, the same point that I made earlier, right, with the was it whole notes? Except it's like even more drastic, right? You have a little bit more movement, right, in the right hand. You're moving into a mezzo piano, and generally the piece has developed more energy, right? So you can afford to be a little bit heavier, right? And then I don't know if you can see my hands in the stream, but you can almost come a little bit from above and put a little bit more emphasis into the lower note, right? And then when you jump up, it's like a a down up sort of motion, right? Like this. I don't know if you can see. I'll go reference my stream here. Yeah. So it's how to say. Have you learned like down up for legatos and stuff like that? Just wondering. Or have you ever tried that, like shifting of the weight, shifting of the wrist and stuff like that? Yeah, okay. So one of the things that I think you can think about too as well. So how do I say? When it comes to adding more emphasis and a little bit more weight, okay, I'll get back to down up after I describe this. When it comes to adding more emphasis and a little bit more weight, first, right, consider the dynamic, then consider where it's happening, and then consider what's holding the melody. Or I guess you can flip the last two, right? Consider what's the melody, and then consider where each thing is happening, right? You have a lot of spatial separation, right, between the left and right hands. So in a frequency sense, right? They're not competing for space. So you can afford to be a little bit more heavier in the left hand, provided that you are lighter up here when you jump up to the next chord, right? So it's almost like this is carrying a second melody that you want to be able to hear, just like a touch below. Right, and but of course, if you can't keep the right hand above, right, then you want to tone down the left. But so the down up motion for slurs, for legatos, or typically for like one or two, is you go like when you see the start of a slur, right? So let's say like I don't know if anything in here is like slur two notes. But you know, have you heard Chopin's Nocturne in E flat, like the? If you've heard that before, so first two notes are slurred, right? Do-dum, right, and so the first note in the slur typically is heavier and has more articulation emphasis than the second, and the way that we can achieve that is by holding our wrists like this. Okay, I'm gonna reference my screen so that you can see. So it's like this, you go down, right, like this, and then you come up. And it's this motion of coming up on the key that, so it's okay, how do I say it? You come down, right, and that presses the key down. And then when you come up with the wrist, then your finger acts like a lever and it presses the key down naturally. But because you're lifting up, you're not putting weight into the key. Instead, the key is like pressed lighter, right? Because you're not adding the weight down into it. So what I'm doing for, I'll demonstrate up here since it's more visible, for like the Nocturne. This is over exaggerated, but it's coming down like this and then coming up like that, right? And so what I'm saying for this section here is that you can almost apply this sort of concept of coming up by going down on the D flat and then jumping and then coming up on the D flat major chord up here, right? So down on the D flat, whether that's pushing your wrist like towards the D like this. So if this is the key, then you can push down a little bit like this and then jump and then come up, right? And then dum, you can do that for the octave as well. Bum, right? And that'll create some of that contrast between the two more naturally, right? So you're not just jumping and then like going up and down, right? Like this. So it becomes a little, I'll just play the left hand. So down and then, and I'm over exaggerating, but this is something that you can perhaps think about for the next thing that you're working on. Because yeah, just tying back to the points that I made earlier, right? Putting more emphasis on the bass notes right there. Does that make sense? Kind of? Gosh, do I need to make a video on this too? Dang. Yeah. That's actually one of the biggest things I feel like self-taught pianists don't have. It's a toolbox of different touches to be able to do like accomplish different sounds, and that's something that I feel like there's not too many like YouTube channels that are out there that teach these sorts of things even, right? there's a lot more teaching like technical stuff and like rhythm and like exercises and drills and scales and stuff like that, like piano and Joshua Wright piano, and how to sight read like Jaser Lee. But like nobody's teaching how to do like these more subtle touches. Do I have a resource? I haven't. Yeah, I don't have a resource for you, dude. Because I mean, I've never had to look it up myself, right? Which is the honest truth. And when I've been looking at YouTube channels these past few months, because I was looking for things, right? Like things that people aren't covering on YouTube. This is exactly what I was talking about. It doesn't seem like there are many people covering these specific topics. I think Heart of the Keys, what's her name? Anik, has a video on playing on the Heart of the Keys, right? And choosing like proper fingerings and I think 1 or 2 different touches. So she might be a good place to start off. But like for other people, I'm not too sure. But Anik, let me put that into the chat. Heart of the Keys. Yeah. So yeah. When you start off, playing piano is all about playing with just fingers, but then as you develop as a pianist, you need to start learning how to manipulate the wrist, or else you're gonna, 1, hurt your fingers, and 2, not be able to accomplish some of the sounds that you're looking for. And then after that, you need to learn how to manipulate your arm weight, and then you need to learn how to manipulate your body weight in order to get the sounds that you're looking for. How do I choose fingerings for arrangements? I choose fingerings based on what feels right that I can play and what gets the sound that I'm looking for. So for example, what's an example that I can pull off the top of my head since I don't have sheets. This game. Okay, so I feel like that's pretty. Okay, yeah, so this run right here. So I know that I can jump up to this C. I don't know if you can see this on the keys, but yeah, I can jump up to this C, but if I do, then I'll land really heavy, right? I tried out a whole bunch of different fingerings, right? This is kind of like dodging the question because I'm not exactly explaining how I try out the different fingerings, but I would need something like specific, like a specific example. So I tried out a bunch of different fingerings and none of them sound like how I wanted, so I decided to take, the C in the right hand with the D. So. And same thing with this A sharp. I can jump up, but it won't sound as good, right? Yeah. You're probably unconsciously doing it, right? When you're trying out different fingerings. When you're trying out different fingerings, it's just like you're trying to figure out what works, right? And what can you play in tempo. Oh, that's perhaps another thing that I can also discuss, right? You can almost play anything, right, with any fingering slowly, right, and it'll sound like pretty okay. But it's a different story when it becomes fast. So one of the things that I do is one-handed as I'm trying out a fingering. Just if it feels good slow, right, I make sure that it feels good, right? And this comes from a lot of unfortunately practice and experience, right? Like, okay, this feels good on my fingers. This feels like something that I can scale up. And then I'll take it a few clicks just to see what it feels like at a more medium tempo. And if I can, right, this is still with one hand, I take it up almost to like full speed if it's a fast piece, to see if it still works at that tempo. To see if my fingers unconsciously do something else, or if it still sounds okay, right? And then from there is a judgment call of whether or not, okay, this is something I need to practice more, or this is something that I need to like start over and like figure out again, right? So yeah. You need to leave at 10:48, dude. We're only 2 minutes in. Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll hurry on. We're hurrying on. Sorry. I got bogged down explaining, having too much fun explaining some things. But I lost my spot. But that's Okay, I got it back. Yeah. You can build a little bit there, I think. Dude, I know I feel like I might sound like I've been bashing on your playing, but like It's gonna make me cry already, dude. You can see the wrist motion? Yeah. That's good, that's good. Did I just lose my spot again? Yeah, that's some good contrast right there. Like, even though right it's in the middle of the phrase, you're able to pull it back a little. Just take care in these spots when you're doing jumps to not let the left hand like land too heavy, because it sounds like you're doing that a little bit, which is why it's overpowering the right hand a little bit. I'm losing my spot because I'm looking at both your hands in the notes. Yeah. That's an important concept, right? Like, if you don't want things to sound flat, you need to always think about what you're playing towards, right? There's always a final note, there's always a destination, and you have to play towards that destination. And singing it helps, right? Because singing lets you feel like it was it teaches you where you're breathing, and it's almost like talking it out, right? So I would commend that to you as a good exercise as well. Dude, that's pretty good though. Yo, next how to play hard stuff video, how to practice jumps. I got you, bro. Dude, that was pretty good. That was, you know, I've been saying a lot of stuff, but fundamentally you've got like a lot of the tonal things down, right? You've got a lot of the ideas there. It's just like, you know, one or like some certain things that will help bring those out to fruition, right? There's certain things that will, you know, take it. I hate using the phrase "take it to the next level," right? Because it's like Gordon Ramsay. Oh, how would Gordon Ramsay, elevate this basic pizza? It's like, cool. You put like freaking truffle on it. Like, yeah, like everybody has like $500,000 to spend on like truffle for their pizza, you know. But I think yeah, if you start implementing some of the things right with the wrist, right, and like landing on notes and then like sort of playing with a little bit more direction, then it'll help you with some of this phrasing a little bit more. One of the things that I wanted to point out, I forget exactly where. I know it's somewhere here in the score, but I want to make sure that I'm referencing it correctly. Where am I? Okay, so stuff like this, right? Right. So the main melody is carried in. Yeah. Yo, no problem, dude. Yo, I'm glad this is helpful at least, right? You help me, I help you. That you scratch my back, I scratch yours. But this part here, like stuff like this, right? The melody is like mainly carried, and then this is almost like a I don't want to say afterthought, but it's like it's still melodic, right? And you're still playing to it, but it's taken a step below, right? Right below the left hand, right? So it's like you can, how do I say? I wish I could play this so that I could actually demonstrate what I'm trying to explain. Yeah, it's like take it down a level, right? So okay, so if we talk about the dynamic within like this range, right? So let's say we're here like a mezzo piano, right? Since or maybe even mezzo forte, because we're starting to build a little towards the climax of the song. You got all this range here, but I think you can terrace this a little bit, right? Like split it up into sections, right? And yeah, you get what I'm saying, which is good. So this comes down to terrace, right? And this can crescendo up. The left hand, right, can crescendo up a little bit in order to fill that void. And it's like that interplay between the two hands that's what's gonna make this a little bit perhaps more interesting, right? Because if everything comes down, or if this stays too high, then it doesn't sound quite as, I guess, aesthetic in some ways. But yeah, same thing for like these chords here, right? Sorry. Right, so the left hand is moving, the left hand is carrying the contour of the melody, even though it's not the melody, right? So, yeah, dynamics. I think dynamics and general, what I'll say is your overall dynamics are fine, right? You've got the piano, you've got the mezzo piano, and you've got the mezzo forte, and then like a little bit of forte, right? Where is needed. It's just the variations and the nuance between, like within each one of those, that's like a little bit missing. Anime She is the best place for me to learn play song dynamically, correct? I think if you can get the whatchamacallit technique down for an Animen's piece, then you can practice dynamics, right? How would I say? I think technique, unfortunately, frequently has to come first when you're learning a new piece, simply because it's kind of hard to emote and express dynamics when you don't know the notes. But that's something that you can like start to think about, right? Perhaps like when you're learning, you can maybe learn two things at once, right? Or work on two things at once. Something easier so that you can execute on, and something harder like an Animen's sheet. And when you're working on the technical side of the Animen's sheet, you can make notes to yourself. Oh, this is what I want to do here. This is how it would sound like here when I want to play in tempo. And then you practice doing that sort of stuff with the easier one. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, but anyways, overall, very, very good performance. I enjoyed it a lot. It has perhaps moved Clannad up my list. Although since the school year started, I don't think I can incapacitate, or my semester has started, I don't think I can incapacitate myself for like however many episodes it is, and like reduce myself to a crying mess and be unable to function for like at least 48 hours. So I might have to put that off until summer. No, that's the worst. But yeah, no, man, you're doing well. You're doing well. I'll be happy to review more of your playing later on another stream perhaps. But yeah, dude, looking forward to seeing how you improve, man. Because I mean, I say this to Keanu a lot, like, because I follow some of his stuff, and then like, you know, some other people's, like Vanessa, right, and stuff like that. But like literally, you guys, you can almost hear on each and every single video improvements, and that's really, you know, the big thing, the big takeaway, right? Each piece, each song, 1% better, right? One thing that you're working on better. What do you want to do better on this one? You want to be more clean? Okay, then work on technical and being technical and clean. You want to work on your dynamics? Then work on your dynamics, right? You spend a lot of time on that, and it's over time, this accumulation of things that you're working on 1% at a time that leads to a more well-rounded pianist, right? But two, you being able to say the things that you want to say. And I think that's the real reason why I think all of us play piano, right? We have a message. It's the freaking Your Lie in April. Oh, listen to me, right? Like Emi and Takeshi, right? Listen to me, listen to what I have to say. And then finally Kosei, right? Ascending and becoming one with the music in the last episode. So yeah. Anyways.